everyone, welcome back to another round of crochet goodness. Today's project is going to be a staple for your fall and spring wardrobe, and this is a great project to make especially for the colder months. For this, I'm going to be using a super fine or a fingering weight yarn. I used approximately 192 grams or 374 meters or 409 yards for my size small. We will also use a size E or a 3.5mm crochet hook, a yarn needle, and a pair of scissors. Starting with the panel, we're going to work up as many chains as we need until the length of our chain is long enough to go from the shoulder to our waist. And don't forget to stretch your chain as you go along as well. Once you have your chains, you're going to add one extra chain to that and work a half double crochet into the third chain from the hook. And to do that, you're going to yarn over and insert the hook into the stitch, grab the yarn and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through all of the loops on your hook. And you're going to repeat that same stitch into each of the chains across until you get to the end of the row. The end of the row, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. Now chain 2 here is going to count as 1 stitch. And on the next stitch, we're going to work a half double crochet into the back loop only. So it's basically the same as the half double crochet, but then we're going to work it into the back loop of the next stitch. So to work a half double crochet back loop, you're going to yarn over and insert the hook into the back loop of the next stitch. Grab the yarn and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through all of the loops on your hook, and you're going to repeat that very same stitch into each of the stitches across. When you get to the very end of the row, you're going to work a normal half double crochet into the very last stitch. And after this, we're just going to repeat the same pattern, row 2, for the rest of the stitches. So chain 2 and then work a half double crochet back loop into each of these stitches. Turn your work and again chain 2, half double crochet back loop. Continue working that until the width of your panel goes from one side of your body to the other side. Or if you prefer a much fitted top, then you're going to keep on working this until the panel reaches from the shoulder to the other shoulder. Once you're done with the panel, you're going to make the second panel, and as you can see here, I already did that. Now from here, we're going to start seaming the shoulder portion. Now what's important here is that you don't make your neck part to be a little bit too wide, because it's gonna look a little bit awkward. So you're definitely going to take into account the measurement of your head and the neck. So from here, we will start seaming in the side of the top as well as the shoulder portion, and you can find the measurements that I use for seaming in the description box below, but definitely take into account your own measurements. So here I already did my seaming. I seamed the lower portion and the other side as well, both of my shoulder portion. So again, you can find the measurements that I used here in the description, but definitely take into account the measurements of your head circumference and your neck. Now after this, we will continue working on the mock neck of the top. So you're going to attach the yarn into any of these stitches into the opening of the top. And from here, we're going to work up a chain of 15. Now if you prefer your the neck portion to be a little bit lower than my number of chains, then definitely do the number of chains that you need for your own size. So here I have a chain of 15. After this, we're going to work a half double crochet into each of the chains across until we get to the very last chain. Once you get to the very last chain, we're going to skip the very first row that we have along the opening of the neck. So that is this one right here. We're going to skip that and work a slip stitch into the next row. So slip stitch, and again work another slip stitch into the next row. After this, we will turn our work and again continue working a half double crochet back loop in each of the stitches across until you get to the very last stitch of this row. I'm now at the end of my row, and on the very last stitch I work a normal half double crochet. After this, I'm going to chain 2 and turn my work, and again from here we will work or repeat the same pattern as what we did for the very first row. So half double crochet back loop, and then skip the row, cross and slip stitch into the next 2 rows. Turn your work and again work a half double crochet back loop. Now that will be the pattern that you will keep on working around this neck portion. So do that and meet me back later until you get to the very last row. Using a yarn needle or any technique that you prefer, we're going to connect both of the ends together. The next part will be the sleeves, and as you can see, I already did mine here so that you don't have to see me do this. After this, we will connect our yarn into the center or the middle part of the top, the one that we had our seam for the sides. After that, we will do 8 single crochet along the opening of the sleeves. For larger sizes, definitely do more than 8 single crochet because we're going to do that so that our sleeves will slightly curve a little bit. Once you have 8 single crochet, we're going to work a half double crochet in each of the stitches around, and on the last 8 stitches we're going to work a single crochet and a slip stitch into the very first stitch that we did. Here I have my last 8 single crochet. After this, we will slip stitch into the very first single crochet that we did, and then we will turn our work. Chain 1, and we will work 8 single crochet into the next 8 stitches. Here I have 8 single crochet, and after this we will work a half double crochet decrease or half double crochet back loop into the next 2 stitches. And to do that, we're going to yarn over and insert the hook into the next stitch, grab the yarn and pull up a loop, and again yarn over and insert the hook into the next stitch, grab the yarn and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through all of the loops on your hook, and that is our half double crochet back loop decrease. Now the next thing you want to do is work a half double crochet back loop in each of the stitches, and then you're going to do that around and leave the last 2 stitches unworked. So do that and meet me back later until you get to the last 10 stitches. At the end of the row into the last 10 stitches, we're going to work the opposite stitch as what we did here. So we're going to do the half double crochet back loop decrease and then continue working with a single crochet back loop for the rest of the stitches. Slip stitch into the beginning chain 1 and turn your work. Once you have that, you're just going to keep on working this very same row or very same pattern until your sleeve has a total of 11 rows, or until it will slightly curve into the tip of your shoulders, since we have different shoulder measurements. So keep on working that and meet me back later once you're done with that part. Here I have my sleeves, and once you're done with this part, we're just going to continue working with a chain of 22. This is a standard chain for all sizes. Once you have that, we will work a half double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook and continue working 1 half double crochet for each of the chains across. When you get to the very last chain, we're going to skip the opposite 1st and 2nd stitch and slip stitch into the 3rd and 4th stitch. Like so. Now turn your work. And we're going to work 1/2 double crochet back loop into each of these stitch across until we get to the end of the row. I'm now done with my second row for the arm ribbing. Now on the very last stitch, we're going to work a 1/2 double crochet. Chain 2, turn your work, and then again work a 1/2 double crochet back loop into each of the stitch. Skip the next 2 stitches and slip stitch into the next 2. Again, 1/2 double crochet back loop in each of the stitches, and you're going to keep on working this very same pattern until you get to the very last stitch of the armhole. Using a yarn needle, we're going to connect both of the ends together, or with any technique that you prefer. Now in my case, I'm going to be working a back loop slip stitch to connect both of the ends. Moving on with the lower part of the top, we're going to join our yarn into any of the stitch into the bottom. After this, we're going to be working a chain of 22, or any chain that you prefer. If you want a shorter collar or bottom ribbing, you can do as many chains as you need. And after that, we will work a 1/2 double crochet back loop into the 3rd chain and repeat the same pattern as what we did for the collar or the neck part. So do that and meet me back later once you get to the very last stitch. At the very end, we're also going to connect the 2 ends together using a back loop slip stitch or with a yarn needle, or with any technique that you prefer. I really love the texture of this top. I think it's so versatile because you can make it as short or as long as you want. You can also wear it under a blazer or a leather cardigan. With that being said, this marks the end of this tutorial. I hope you enjoy watching this video, and if you have any questions, please write them down in the comment box below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you fancy making this top, don't forget to tag me at whataboutYarn in social media. Enter this week's giveaway by answering the question below. Thank you so much guys for watching, and have a good day. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.